Built in Africa to me means conceived, planned, and developed in Africa. The creation process is captured, but most importantly, right, the value itself is built in Africa. And it's a kind of a counter narrative to, what we kind of have today.
You're in the right place. Welcome to the Built in Africa podcast, where we connect trailblazers of the African diaspora through the unifying language of tech. On this episode, we connect with Adebayo Dawodu and Chika Umeadi, co-founders of ParallelScore, a product development firm that develops, mobilizes, and deploys Nigerian engineers with proven expertise in emerging technologies. Let's get into it. AI, IoT, machine learning, along with several other emerging technologies, are set to reshape the world we live in. Although frequently discussed, there's only a small number of professionals who can build and implement these solutions, and ParallelScore has some of them. Listen as Chika shares what makes ParallelScore different.
I think the value to the market is threefold. One, outsourcing has been a strategic kind of option for a lot of companies globally. I believe that the outsourcing model is inherently flawed right now. We wanted to rethink what that looks like in the long term and be very process driven about how we would go about thinking about new ways to do that. The second thing that ParallelScore provides to the market is a North Star, right? Another thing that we do that really differentiates us is that the technologies that we're working with, we're not making websites. We're not, we've done websites, but we're not making, our core business isn't making websites. Mm-hmm. We're really focused on, working on protocols that no one's working on. There's one project, for example, there's probably 200,000 people in the world that have had, less than 200,000 people in the world that have had exposure to this technology. So we want to show that, we want to signal to the market that we're not just, outsourcing isn't just a strategy to get your lowest technology needs done. There's real value creation opportunity in the markets that we're working in, the teams that we're working with. The third thing we wanted to also show was that if given the right conditions, Nigerian developers and even non-developers can step up and create value globally. We know this to be true of Nigerians that go outside of Nigeria and make things happen, but we wanted to show that even with the challenges that exist in Nigeria, we can work with Nigerians on the ground to create valuable things that are globally attractive.
On a mission to create 1,000 jobs in Africa by 2030, Bayo and Chika share how they identify Nigerian tech talent.
Groups, and just take the same existing hackathon idea whereby you cast out a job opening that is not central around a person, it's central around a problem you're trying to solve, and you bring people together, and then you watch them collaborate together, and potentially if you have 50 people and you intend to hire a team, you might hire 5 people on the same day. But you're not just hiring them based on what their resume says. You're hiring them based on how collaborative they are, based on the problem that they're solving. And so we experimented with that a few times, and it's actually worked for us. Building the team that they get to get exposed to what we're trying to do. They get to interact with team that can potentially be their team, and you also get to see the softer skills in them that's beyond what they put on their resume as well. So a combination of automating the pipeline through partnership and also doing things like Jobathon is how we're sourcing and be able to groom talent for opportunities as well. And it's an ever evolving process. There's no one size fits all, but we've tried it all.
When you're building in places like Nigeria, you start to realize how traditional structures of doing anything are just flawed, right? And it gets multiplied by like 100, right? So hiring, for example, in not just in Nigeria, but hiring in general is flawed to begin with, right? And so for us, we needed to optimize for a couple of things. One, we're not looking for people that have solved a specific problem. We're looking for people with a track record of consistently solving problems, right? We're not looking for people that know something. We're looking for people that have a consistent track record of learning new things and applying it. Because the problems that we're trying to solve, we don't know the solution to them. And so there's no one that can actually tell us what the solution, there's no one that like should know what the solution is. And we can't really optimize for like experience, for example, because experience might be a false indicator of who would be a potential fit for these clients and the opportunities we're working on. So we've had to really I think a lot of the initiatives Bayo's mentioned, we've really had to lean into that a little bit more.
As entrepreneurs living in the diaspora with multiple successful ventures on the continent, Bayo and Chika know what it takes. Listen as they share tips to other entrepreneurs in the diaspora considering tapping into Africa's tech ecosystem.
There's no manual to doing business in Africa. However, your potential for success is strengthened by the community that you build and you invest in. One of the things that I've learned being there now, at least consistently for the last almost 6 years now, there's a power in community, right? And oftentimes it's not the community in just what you're doing. It's sometimes a community that balance out what you're doing. I have a lot of friends and people that build successful companies in Africa, in the restaurant or tech space. And sometimes we can just sit with them on the continent and just talk about ideas and the problem in the context of hope, not in the context of issues. And Africa's challenges or problem is not just money, right? Some of it is culture, some of it is in vision. If people that go into Africa, you have to have a clear vision, because you're going to run out of money. You're going to run out of patience. You're going to run out of ideas. At some point, you're going to be frustrated. But you have to have a strong vision for what it is that you want to do out there.
Keep listening as Chika shares some additional tips.
Even if the idea makes sense, there's probably going to be a bunch of different challenges in your value chain. And you'll have to think about like, how much exposure do you want to have to that challenge? And what that translates into is as a company as you decide to solve a problem, think of the value chain of the problem. If it's not available, if that part of the value chain is not available, like how amenable are you to like actually building that part? So for example, we talked about, ParallelScore, we talked about hiring, right? Like the way that we hire is different. We had to invest time and money into figuring out the effective way to hire. Where in other markets, it might have been easier to hire people, but we're better off for it, but we had to invest money into it. There are definitely a lot of businesses that, that will find themselves in markets like Nigeria, Ghana, et cetera, that where they've got a good problem. The problem is a huge market opportunity, but from an early stage perspective, they're going to have to build a lot of the infrastructure themselves, and they're going to have to be comfortable with that. So assess that before you start to think about like the problem, the opportunity that you're working on.
And that's it for this episode. If you haven't already, check out the full article on our website, builtinafrica.io, found in the description. And while you're there, subscribe to our newsletter so we may keep you up to date with the latest. But until then, keep building.